Good morning, turf heads. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may be. Hello. How are you? You're live with Dave Wilber, the Turfgrass Zealot. People call me. And I'm here, man. I'm here in the condo. Just hanging out. Right? Having a good time, having a good day. And here, we'll get serious here. Bring you in. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm glad to be here. It's good to see you. And I see that we already have viewers kind of starting to drift in, so that's pretty cool. So we'll just let that happen. What are we doing today music-wise? Trap beats. I've been studying trap beats because I've been making a few of my own. In fact, there was one playing just a little bit ago, something that I was working with. So yeah, so it's a new style of music that I'm just trying to figure out. Electronic music, huh? Hi. Man, I've had a couple of weeks here. And I'm sorry that I missed you guys last week, but I had the COVID shot a week ago yesterday. Second COVID shot. And it knocked me for a pretty good loop. And I don't want to discourage you from getting vaccinated. And I'm not here to talk about pro-vaccination or anti-vaccination or anything like that. That's not it. But, you know, just in my case, for both of the vaccinations, the first one was short-lived. The second one went a day longer. You know, I had some chills and some fever and, you know, flu-like stuff, and it wasn't fun. But I just did it, and I just powered through, but I certainly couldn't have seen you guys last week in the state that I was in. So not that I'm in that great a state anyway, but certainly couldn't do that. So that's what's going on there. A lot of good feedback on the Turfgrass Zealot Project episode where I talked about the Olympic Club. I didn't realize that my stories from the road would be so popular with people, but I get a lot of feedback. And of course, you know, because you all like to stay in the shadows, that feedback comes in the form of DMs and texts and those kinds of things. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, you know, and as I look into the whole US Women's Open thing and the Olympic Club and Troy Flanagan and his staff, I think the standout thing that comes out every time are the amazing effort of the female volunteers there. Now look, why do I have to say female volunteers? Why can't I just say volunteers? I know. But in this particular case, it was by design, and it was a good thing. And there were a ton of women there who were just doing amazing stuff. And I loved seeing the pictures, and I loved all of that. I also think that there's a lot of people in our business that are still whirling in the Neanderthal thought that, you know, that greenkeeping is a man's sport, a man's job. I mean, it's not. And man, I look back. I had several women on my crews in the 80s and 90s, and all of them fantastic, better than the guys in a lot of ways. And I'm good with that. So it doesn't surprise me at all that the group of women that were at the Olympic Club for the Women's Open were kicking ass. That doesn't surprise me a bit. What I think is really cool is that I see a bunch of people who have developed friendships who may not have known each other before that. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. And how about the idea that you know, that people can get together and work together and enjoy putting on a sporting event, and have a lot of pride in that. You know, again, I've always said I'm not huge on tournament golf. I don't know that it really represents much of anything but what it is in and of its own animal. But it sure is fun putting on events, and I always loved it. You know, even down to the ladies 9-hole invitational. You know, hey, we're gonna do something cool. You know, whatever it was, right? Flowers out on the tee boxes, or, you know, stuff we did for the men's invitational. I remember, you know, different, we set up a putting course one time that was really super cool. And, I love that stuff. My guys loved it. Everybody loved it. My staff loved it, I should say. And so anyway, I think it was great that there was a lot of camaraderie shown. From what I see in the social media feeds, it looks like that group of women wants to do it again. And I know this. I know how our world works. They're going to be texting with each other. They've shared contact information. They have a networking group. Hey, this is going on at my golf course. That's going on at my golf course, and all that sort of thing. I especially want to shout out to a couple of women from the mountains of Colorado who were able to get away and from Keystone Ranch and go out to the Olympic Club, and that must have been quite a thing for them. And the season is so short up there where they're at, and it's like, to take that time is a pretty big deal. And hats off to Ann and Pam from Keystone Ranch in Colorado. You guys, I'm thinking that I've met one of you, but I sure would like to come out and hang out with you guys this summer and just say thanks in person, because you're nearby. All right, well, hey, that's the Olympic Club thing. And we've had a lot of good feedback from the Turfgrass Zealot project live feeds, and that's just part of it. And what's been really cool is that you guys have been liking and sharing and telling other people, and the viewer base is increasing. And again, like and subscribe. It just helps it helps the algorithm. It helps me in all of this thing. As I've said before, I'm doing this on my own, so it's just me and the bear. The bear and the bear are doing it. What else? Let's see. I got some beard tips from Brian Grill from Youre. I don't know if you guys know Brian, but Turf Beard on Twitter. And Brian gave me some beard tips, and already my beard is better. I also bought a thing that he told me that I didn't need, but I bought it anyway because my barber said, no, you need this. It's like a beard straightener thing. It's like this heated brush, and it just makes my curly beard straight. So I'm into that. So I'm still sporting the beard, even though it's hot and warm. I'm still sporting the beard, and then I've got the the old white dude ponytail thing going on because I'm just losing my hair anyway. So why cut it? Why do that? So that's what's going on with me. Those are my stories. All right, well, I wanted to spend some time today talking about let's cover one more thing. US Open week this week. And again, I don't always think tournament golf is the real world, but I love watching the US Open. I love what's going on, and I love Torrey Pines. Torrey Pines is worth a study if you haven't really looked at some aerial views and all that sort of stuff to understand what's going on at Torrey Pines. And it's so cool there. It's a unique place. It may not be the most fabulous golf course, design wise and stuff. And I see a bunch of the golf course architecture woke crowd, beating up on the golf course a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, it's not, it's different. It's older. It's coastal. It's coastal Southern California. It's got a whole different vibe. It's also public, that's something that I think a lot of people are kind of skipping over. Torrey Pines is a busy place, right? It's always a busy place, but the staff there is doing an amazing job. I see that they got a bunch of volunteers. I see, really moved me. Paul B. Latshaw and Dave Latshaw had a picture together there. That was so cool. So well done, guys. If you're listening, which I hope you are, or if you watch this later. And that's the other thing about the live feed. If it doesn't fit into your schedule, that's fine. You can watch it later. And also, I think we'll convert these into audio form and podcast form. As soon as I have enough of them, we'll do that. Because a lot of people are telling me that they like to listen in their ears while they're out, doing course setup or whatever on the weekends. And, you can just turn on YouTube, and I don't know, my YouTube will run in the background, but I think that's because I pay for the YouTube not to have commercials thing. So I don't really know, if it'll just run in the background while your phone's in your pocket or whatever. And because of that, we'll figure out a way to get this into a more mainstream kind of podcast form. It wasn't my intention to turn this into a podcast, but podcast means a bunch of different things now. Vidcast, podcast, it's all kind of meshing together. See, meshing. So there it is. All right, let's talk about what I wanted to talk about today. Let's talk about labor. I've had a ton of conversations with people about labor this week. While we may have started out talking about grass, we end up talking about staff. And I think that just goes hand in hand with a lot of the things that I've been talking about for years, in regards to the fact that, yeah, the agronomy is the thing, right? We're here to grow grass. We're here to put on, a sporting surface. And I don't want to leave my friends in the sports turf world out, okay? Because this is not just a golf thing. I mean, I get it, but I also know that people management, people working with people, dealing with people, using your people resources is everything. It's simply everything. And it surprises me to no end to see people that essentially have no plan when it comes to their labor force. Let's start at the bottom. There is a whole different way now, I think, and especially in the last couple of years, last 2 years, for people to kind of grab the sense that maybe they're going to have to staff a little bit differently. Now, I'm not just talking about doing more with less. Okay, that's an older conversation and another conversation. What I'm talking about is the creative sense of, hey, maybe I can't hire a bunch of 40-hour-a-week people. Maybe I got to put some 20-hour-a-week people to work. And quite frankly, honestly, I'm the demographic that some of you guys should be looking for. The 55-year-old guy who is not necessarily ready to retire, but is slowing down a little bit, who could come and sit on a mower, who could come and mow greens in the morning, or who could come out in the afternoon and stripe some fairways, And I'll tell you something, and I'm not kidding about this. If my knees were in a little bit better shape, if I was just a tiny bit thinner, there's a couple of superintendents here in the Denver area that I would approach in a heartbeat and say, hey, give me 20 hours a week. And what I would love to do is do the Mike Kozak thing and go cut cups every morning. Go do course setup. That would be so much fun for me. I always loved cutting cups. But I'd ride a mower. I'd do whatever. There's got to be a lot of people my age, and I'm 55, who either have experience or have, who have done some of those things. I mean, I'm not talking about somebody who's been a superintendent and all that sort of stuff, but it's amazing to me how many people that I run into that say, yeah, I used to work on the golf course when I was a kid. Or, hey, I've always wanted to do that. And, I'm pretty trainable at this age. Train me to do a lot of stuff. You younger superintendents, keep your eyes and ears open. I don't know that I'm suggesting that you go to Walmart and become a greeter, or go, not become a greeter, but go and recruit the greeters at Walmart. I don't know about that, right? But I think you have to open your eyes to some different ways to staff, right? It used to be, hey, we had, like for me on my summer cruise, I had, in the mountains of Colorado, it was ski bums who wanted to just stay so they could go ski in the fall. In the Front Range in the Denver area for me, and it was teachers and students, and in Northern California, same story. I had some teachers, I had some students, I had some of those people that had time off in the summertime, and that was great until about August 10th. And the teachers and the students all leave you, and and it's like tough. It's like, tough weather and stuff. I had graduated to a bigger thing and a bigger budget, and I had more full-time staff. And I know a lot of you are pushing and saying, well, I need more full-time people. at my facility. I need more full-time people. And yeah, I get it. I mean, you could spend the hours, you could do it, right? The hours are there to work. The problem is the finances that, for some places are just not quite there. Now, let me say this, and I've said it before, and I'm going to continue to say it, you better learn to be better salesmen when it comes to finances, because a lot of you just don't know how to ask or haven't asked correctly, right? So you need 2 more full-time people on your staff. And the general manager has said no once, and so you're done with it. No. If you really can prove that, you have the work hour studies and all that sort of stuff to, and you've done the homework, and it's like, I've got to have 2 more full-time people on my staff, 4 more, whatever it is. And you've made that case and it's been ignored. You got to keep making the case. You got to win. You're there to do that for your facility, and you're not always there just to save money. This is the trap that I think a lot of general managers have put superintendents into. Hey man, I just want you to not spend. And I go back to a conversation that I had with Matt Schaefer one time online, where we were talking about, I think we did this in Twitter kind of, but we were just basically saying that we've never seen anybody get canned for not spending money. No. Let me say that a different way. I'm sorry. I said that all wrong. We've never seen anybody get canned for spending too much money, except on a construction site or a renovation deal or something like that. But as far as just, hey, we have got to get the job done, this is what we got to do. Well, that's it. I see my little scrolling world down here has, there we go. So you've got to learn how to make the sale. And a lot of you are super good at making the sale when it comes to, I need a new mower. I need, this, that, and the other. And capital equipment, it's easy to, it's easy to justify the ROI on that, right? Labor is a little trickier, and it takes a little bit more work, and it takes some savvy. And by the way, if that's not you, get some help, right? Find somebody like me. Find somebody, I'm not trying to, create more work for myself, but find somebody who can help you. Talk to another superintendent or 2. How did you guys get some staff things together? If there's a golf course in your area that is doing better staff-wise than you are, talk to them and try to figure out what's going on. What are they doing? What are they doing to make that happen with their board, with their people, all that sort of stuff, okay? It's super important. So that's the, hey, I've got to have full-time staff thing. Now, somebody says to me the other day, they said, Dave, even if I had the budget, and I think I actually, he was actually talking about the fact that they had, as far as he could tell, he's got room for 1 or 2 more full-time people, right? I can't find these people. For what we're paying, I can't find them. Okay. Now, I'm brushing into Tyler Bloom territory here. And by the way, if you don't know Tyler Bloom and Tyler Bloom Consulting and all that sort of stuff, find him on the internet, on YouTube. Tyler's an amazing guy. I'm looking forward to having him on the program and one of the at the Rocky Mountain annual educational day. I think I'm the MC of that, and Tyler's on the thing along with Mo Robinson, Dr. Dannenberg. We've put together a great thing. The guys in Colorado love to get together and have education. We haven't done it for a while. Anyway, I digress. What I'm talking about here is the fact that, okay, you can't find people. And I keep hearing this from, I can't find people, right? Especially for those kind of, full-time slots, that are not technical, right? I'm not looking for a Turfgrass degree here. I'm just looking for somebody who's going to come in and work. Often those people are Hispanic workers, often, or that kind of thing, right? We're talking about, more entry-level greenkeeping. So listen, I think what's important, is to keep your eyes open and look at various scenarios that could possibly work for you. let me give you a for example. One superintendent that I talked to was having a really tough time keeping up in the shop, right? His one mechanic who was just not good guy, but just, not able to do that, right? So we talked about this full-time position that he was trying to, fix. And I said, well, maybe what you need to do is go out and look for somebody with some mechanical aptitude, put them in the shop for a few hours a day and use them for the morning rush, right? That kind of thing. Well, I don't really need two mechanics, he said. I said, well, I get that, but why don't you access a different labor pool? He's like, well, what are you talking about? And so we talked about small engine mechanics, motorcycle mechanics, the guys at the rental store, things like that. Yeah, you're going to have to go out and do some recruiting. You're going to have to go out and hunt. I've had super good success finding gearhead kids who are into motorcycles and into, race cars and stuff like that, and turn them into golf course mechanics. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Hector Velasquez kind of comes out of that world. He was a motorcycle guy. He had a little more formal education, but yeah. I mean, everybody Hector's shop, Hector. Everybody knows Hector. You better know Hector. But yeah, I think, hunting that way and saying, okay, I want to find somebody who's got some mechanical aptitude, but I want to take him and I want to teach him to Greenkeep, and I want to teach him the mechanics of it, and I want to build a better scene at my shop, right? I mean, that person could help with safety. They could help with janitorial stuff. They could do all those sorts of things and make a huge difference, make a huge impact in your world. So this idea that, well, I can't just go find greenkeepers. No, you're not going to just go find greenkeepers at an entry level. You're going to have to go make some greenkeepers. You're going to have to make some greenkeepers. You're going to have to teach some people this stuff. Now, let's go back to what I was talking about before. This 40 something, 50 something, kind of world. I haven't seen it work out super great in the private sector hiring members. Quite frankly, they're not there to do that. And there have been a couple of situations where that's worked. I know about a situation where a member and his father went to work for a golf course superintendent, and that turned out pretty cool. But the dad was really the powerhouse, dad was 60, member was 40. But a lot of times, especially those of you that are working in the public sector, I mean, you can look at your men's club, look at your ladies club, look around a little bit. Hey, let's come back to that thing that we said. Don't ignore females. Look at coaches, sports teams, things like that. There's a ton of people right now in our world, in the world of, the world in the state that it's in right now, who are looking for 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, that kind of thing. They're also possibly, and this is the situation that I'm certainly in, where my health insurance costs have risen so much. Why not talk to the club and offer, a benefit package of some sort? Reclassify what a part-time employee looks like versus a full-time employee. Is full-time 40 hours? Maybe it should be 30. Maybe it should be 25. I'm hearing that a lot. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is that this labor thing, it has to be cultivated. It has to be worked on. Let's talk about cultivation a little bit more. Shalia Finney has always told me, Shalia, who's the director of membership programs, senior director of membership programs at GCSAA and ex-golf course superintendent, one of my favorite people in the world. Shalia has always told me that, that FFA, right, the Future Farmers of America, is a untapped market for career people. And she has gone a couple of times to the National FFA conference, and she has, it's been standing room only in the GCSAA booth to talk about that. I wish GCSAA would talk about this stuff more than, goofy government relations things that are not really working. But anyway, that's another conversation. But, to think that Shalia Finney and a couple of the field staff, have gone to FFA conferences and they have had people gathered around them hearing about greenkeeping. I mean, I think about my background. I had some farm and ranch in my, in my kind of DNA. And, my grandfather, my uncle, all those guys were citrus ranchers. And we played in the cattle business a little bit, although my dad was a chef by trade, but it was the mountains of Colorado, right? So we were part of all that beautiful ranching community. And, I knew I didn't want to ranch, I played cowboy a little bit, but it wasn't really, I didn't see that, be in my life. I had friends who were going to take on the family ranch that had been in the in the family for 4 or 5 generations, and they're good with it. They're up there doing great. Some of the best beef cattle in the world coming out of the mountains of Colorado. And, I have friends that, I went to school with that are doing great. And then I went to, did my first 2 years of school at an agricultural school in Eastern Colorado. And there were a ton of farm and ranch kids out there. Most of us had FFA, 4-H backgrounds, all that sort of stuff. And, they were intrigued by what I was going to do as a career. Cause I knew I was in the landscape turf management program, and, I was going to be a turfie, right? And some of them were soil science majors, ag science majors, ag journalism majors, that kind of stuff. And they're like, they kind of could see it, but they kind of couldn't, because nobody had really explained. And, I would talk about working on the golf course and, all that stuff. And, it's like, wow. They would start to think, they would start to listen, and yeah, maybe I don't want to ranch. Maybe I don't want to be in the farm. Maybe I don't want to be a pesticide salesman or a corn seed salesman or whatever. Maybe the turfgrass thing is something, right? There's something to be done with all that. So here's my ask of you. Have you reached out to the FFA advisor in your local community? FFA chapters are just about every high school. How about 4-H clubs? How about that kind of stuff? Hey, I'm looking for people who might want to learn the art and science of greenkeeping. Are you into it? Simple stuff, right? Cultivation. So we talk about cultivation, right? Like, I was cultivated in a good way. I worked for Mike Kozak. Many of you know Mike. If you've never seen my interviews with Mike or Joel Simmons' interviews with Mike, do that. Mike is a wonderful, fabulous, amazing man. And I worked for Mike, and he was so cool with me, right? He was like that great mentor that I needed in my life. I think he kept me from getting into some trouble, and he put me on the path. He said, hey, there's nowhere in the world you can't go. I'll never forget this. Dave, there's nowhere in the world you can't go there is a golf course. You go see the world, because that's what I told him I wanted to do. I wanted to see the world. I was fascinated by the world. He's like, well, there's golf courses everywhere. Go. And I did that. I did that. I mean, I wake up now, and I've worked in a lot of places, a lot of countries, because I wanted to. And, obviously I'm an American. I wanted to make the biggest impact here. And, I don't know that I made a huge impact, but I've been part of the scene for a long time now. It makes me happy. But that was all because of Mike Kozak. That was all because Mike said, hey, listen, Dave, there's something here. Like, you could be a great golf course superintendent. And he said that to me. Learn this craft. And in his operation, we learned from the bottom up. Let me tell you something. I mean, we learned, we worked in the shop a lot. We serviced our equipment ourselves. We didn't have a mechanic the first 2 summers that I worked for him. And, we all did it. We shared in it. Right. And, so, I learned to turn wrenches a little bit. I learned it, and I had some other skills, so it worked out. But that's what I'm saying is, like, are you guys really ready to teach? I mean, the same thing goes with the people underneath you. Okay, so you've got a good equipment manager, a good shop manager. Is that person ready to teach some people, and show them the ropes a little bit? Hey, here's how to set up a reel. Here's how to do a basic oil change on a triplex. I think there's so much that we're not doing labor wise. I think there's so much we're not doing teaching wise. I think there's so much we're not doing cultivation wise. And these things are going to make a huge impact in your place. Okay, so a lot of golf course superintendents are telling me, hey, the world is changing. They want to be where they're going to be for, it's not going to be 3 years here and 3 years there. They want to stay. right? I want to stay in the same community. I want to raise my kids here. I want to, want to be part of this. I like this club. They like me. Everybody's getting along. Well, then you've got a responsibility at that point, to build an organization, a good one. And it can't just be you and your assistant and everybody else is just, hey, write it on the board and whatever. No. I've never seen that really succeed. I've seen it work, but I haven't seen it succeed. What you've got to do is take people and teach them and cross-train them. And, that guy who's fantastic on the triplex on the greens, put him on a fairway more, get that sorted out with him, get people trained, show them the ropes, right? Take somebody who has an aptitude for this and teach them about irrigation. There's so many more tools now for education and all that sort of stuff. One of my favorite consulting visits that I did for a time with the superintendent is I would come out, spend some time with the super and his assistant, do the agronomy thing, right? And then I would spend the rest of the day at the place just tooling around, talking to the staff with the super, meeting all the staff, meeting all the guys, talking to them. Hey, how you doing? Do you like greenkeeping? What, and I'm like a different person, right? And he was so good. He would walk away and I'd stand there and I'd talk to a guy, standing there holding the hose. And I'm like, well, do you like this job? It's okay. And then some people would be like, I love it. Like, well, okay. So have you talked to your boss about learning more? Have you talked to your boss about doing more? They're like, oh, and I'm like, okay, so let's do that. Right. Superintendent walks back over. We had this all scripted. He walks back over and I'm like, hey, Jim here, he really wants to learn more. You better teach him some more, and I would just kind of lay some peer pressure down and, and then I'd look at Jim, this Jim guy or whatever and say, hey, the world is your oyster when it comes to being a qualified greenkeeper. In other places in the world besides America, I think they do it better. One of the things I saw in Scotland and England is great staff people, who had a little bit of educational background. They'd been to some turf classes. They didn't necessarily want to be a golf course superintendent yet, but the vocation of greenkeeping was important to them, and they would kick ass with that, right? And we're missing it so badly there. Our university programs have said, well, we want to make golf course superintendents, and it's like, really? Why don't we make people who understand and know and love the art, science, and culture of greenkeeping? If I was physically able, if I was financially able to put it together, I would love to be that guy who travels around, hint, GCSA staff, and just walks into the break room with a PowerPoint presentation and says, hey, this is the business. This is a cool business that we're in. Did you know that? Here are the numbers, this many golf courses, this many jobs, this many, that kind of thing. I think a lot of supers would freak out because it's like, oh, my guys are going to leave. But the thing is like, what are we doing to really cultivate the world beneath us? And this brings me to my last point today, and we're going to run a little short today, and that's fine. My last point is this. Damn it, you guys. It pisses me off so much when people start talking about McDonald's and greenkeeping in the same sentence. Oh, they're paying, $15 an hour at McDonald's. I can't keep up with that. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, man? You're telling me, and by the way, I'm talking to general managers, golf pros, directors of golf here, owners, members. I hope a lot of people hear this. A qualified greenkeeper, somebody who's got some experience and some training, right? And can take, a walking greens mower out and mow a set of greens, somebody who can go out with a triplex, somebody who can go out and cut fairways perfectly, put the lasers in, whatever. Somebody who can fix an irrigation head and keep an irrigation system running. These people are not McDonald's caliber people. We invest in these people and we do all this sort of stuff, and then our clubs and our facilities don't pay them. And that pisses me off. It's going to cost to run, to run a decent greenkeeping operation. It's going to cost. There is a cost for maintaining these golf courses. And a big, huge part of that cost, 60 whatever percent, right? It's kind of the rule, is going to be labor. And we are doing a gigantic disservice to ourselves, to the business, to the game. And I guess, I'm also talking sports turf here, to the sport being played and all that stuff. If we allow ourselves to think, well, I've just got to hire entry-level people, from the world to do this job, and it's just about the same as McDonald's or construction cleanup, or, think about any kind of entry-level thing, right? Damn it, find these good people and pay them well. Pay them enough anyway, I get it. Not every facility can have guys running a February more that make 50 grand a year. I understand. At a certain point, there is a point of diminishing return, but we've made a huge mistake in not saying these people, they're qualified. They're amazing. We give them 50 grand worth of gear and send them out to maintain hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of, turf grass. And we say, well, God, we can't pay them more than $12 an hour. And I watch clubs make the wrong decisions about the wrong things, for the wrong reasons. And I'm like, God, just pay your people, let them stay there, keep them there, change your benefit package, offer something a little bit more, put some financial incentives in if you're seasonal to stay for the season. Here's an extra $2,000 if you make it from April to October or whatever it is, right? Put those things in place and stop with the penny pinching. I get it. The uneducated, the people who don't know what the hell they're looking at, they're going to look at a budget. They're going to look at a budget spreadsheet. They're going to look at a P&L and they're going to say, wow, look at all the money that goes to salaries and wages. Yes. Hell yes, they are. And then they gotta, in the next sentence, you gotta look at what the return is on that investment. You have to. So what we've done for the last few years is we've under-maintained our golf courses for a bunch of reasons. Most recently COVID, then financials and all that sort of stuff. And a lot of these places are suffering. A lot of places there's been so much deferred maintenance. And I have golf course superintendents that bring me onto their facilities and we go for a quick tour. And I go, you're never going to catch up. And the super looks at me and goes, I know, I never am. I'm just picking my priorities and trying to, I'm like, well, why? Why are you in this position? And maybe we get to sit down with an owner, green chairman, GM, director of golf or whatever, and talk that through and say, okay, you're sitting there saying, hey, we want our golf course to be at the next level. Right. And then the next sentence is don't spend money. Now, that's not to say that every operation can't find better ways to spend money. I mean, I've yet to see one yet that I can't come in and talk to you and say, well, this might be something you don't want to spend money on, whatever. I mean, it's just prioritization. But the idea that every time we want to save a few bucks, every time we want to hit those budget numbers, every time we don't have, enough outings and tournaments booked, we're going to go to the super and say, well, you need to lay off some guys. Or you need to work less hours or whatever. No. That is just not the way to do it. Our business has got to change. I think few people are really brave enough to stand up and say that. The GMs don't like me when I tell them they're blowing it. The directors of golf don't like me when I tell them they're blowing it. But I don't have a problem saying that. The problem I think I have is when golf course superintendents haven't done their sales work, and sat down and said, okay, this is how many hours it takes to really maintain the golf course. This is how many hours I need in labor. This is how many hours I'm not getting. Here's all the deferred maintenance. This is your facility. This is your asset. Why are you doing this to that? Right? I think a ton of superintendents don't want to put themselves in that position. And listen, you don't have to be Dave Wilber. I have my brash kind of way that I say things. There's plenty of easy and gentle ways to say what I just said. So let me encourage you. Let's go back and just frame this labor thing. First of all, cultivating labor, finding labor in different sources, right? Looking at the 55-year-old, 20, 30 hour a week person. Great thing. Taking a look at your whole operation, saying, hey, what do we really need labor wise, and figuring out the hours and doing all that. Great thing. Getting your shit together and being able to be a manager and a salesman. And yeah, sometimes it feels like it's you against the world, and getting to the powers that be at your facility and saying, listen, I know I've been Superman for the last few years. I get it, but we are not getting where we need to go. This is not working. And all it takes is somebody to get sick or somebody, something to go wrong or whatever, and we're stuck. And we can't really, we try to do projects, but it's not really where, give it a sales thing, right? Put some numbers to it, and all that. Lastly, and I'm speaking to general managers, owners, directors of golf, green chairmen, influential members, and powers that be here. And I hope this gets out there, right? Clip this. Clip this. You guys have got to do better with supporting our business. You want to play golf? You want to go out and play golf? You want to have a successful business and all that sort of stuff? You have got to figure it out with your golf course superintendent. You've got to figure out this labor situation. You've got to pay people what they're worth, and you've got to put together a situation where people are winning in that behind the scenes scene that you don't want to think about, that you don't want to talk about. You've got to do it. We don't have longevity in our business. I was talking with one of my good friends in the business. I won't say the name here, but we were just talking about the fact that golf cannot sustain itself doing what it's doing right now by raping the green. Oh, that's not the right word. Let me just spell it. By taking all the money, from the maintenance facility and saying, well, our facility isn't doing great, so let's just keep tapping into the damn, superintendent, right? Because the supers are all like, hey man, I want to do what it takes. I'll figure it out. I'll MacGyver this, goody for you. But at a certain point, it's just unrealistic. General managers, green chairmen, owners, directors of golf, and all you guys, you are living in a fantasy world as of late about what it really takes to maintain these golf courses. I'm not promoting inflation, but I'm saying we're doing it wrong and it can't sustain itself. And I think you need to have some legit conversations with your supers about labor, about how that works, about what the staff should look like. And it's going to take some creative thinking on everybody's part to figure it out. It's a much different thing when you're in an urban center, when there's golf courses everywhere versus, having your golf course out in the middle of nowhere. These things all have to be examined. They have to be worked out. And if you're not having those conversations with your golf course superintendent, you are fucking up. Bottom line. That's it. I'm sorry. Harsh language. And I care. This is my passion. All right. So I'm Dave Wilber. My friends call me the Turfgrass Zealot, and you can see why. I have a little bit of zeal for what I'm doing and what I'm talking about. And I hope you guys will, yeah. Somebody says in the chat, you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. Of course you do. In everything. I don't know. We're not fostering. I'm trying not to be critical of some of the things that are going on, from the alphabet associations and stuff. But it's like they're rolling down the road with one eye closed, kind of thing. And it's like, hey, yeah, this is good PR. This is a nice photo op. But the more grungy kind of behind the scenes, the greenkeeping thing, we don't want to do that. We want to dress superintendents up nice and, put them in coats and ties and stuff and take their pictures and say, look, we're making a big difference. I understand those things. I get it. But we got to dig into the behind the scenes thing in a different way. We have to think like somebody like Shalia Finney is thinking and say, hey, I'm going to go to the National FFA conference and I'm going to talk about being a golf course superintendent or being a greenkeeper, okay? Because like I say, everybody can't be a golf course superintendent. And I think the universities have proven that. And not everybody's going to get a crack sales job. That's not coming either. But what can we do to say, hey, this is a vocation and it's a good vocation? And so we have to meet the other side of it by saying we're going to pay a living wage to people who are making a difference on our golf courses. And it can't just be a big bunch of dough to the superintendent, a medium bunch of dough to the assistant, no money to anybody else. No. I challenged somebody the day, when they were telling me what their new contract was like. And I said, how much of that are you kicking down, to the people underneath you? And the guy looks at me like, I'm crazy. So, I got kids in college. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. But it's like, okay, so you got yourself a nice package. Nice job. Way to go for the, way to go for the negotiation. But did you get your assistant a raise? Well, he got his 3% last year. Really? Oh, okay. What'd you do for your mechanic? Did you pay off his Snap-on bill? Stuff like, see, people don't know about stuff like that, right? I mean, how many of you are willing to go to your general managers, owners, green chairman or whatever and say, hey, we've got a great mechanic here. He's been killing it for us. And he's, he uses his own tools and it's, he's got, Snap-on Mac, whatever it is. And, he makes a payment on that every week. And why don't we just pay that off for him? Hey, I've got somebody on the staff who's just killing it, who I think will be a great asset to our facility. Let's get them into a turfgrass program. Whether it's online or, a winter thing or, let's do some stuff with them, right? Let's take this person and take them to some education. Let's involve them in the greatness of greenkeeping. I mean, if we believe that greenkeeping and we believe that, being a golf course superintendent ourselves is a wonderful thing. And by the way, I believe that. I am not one of these people that says, get out of the business. I love this business. I don't know how to speak or do anything else. I've tried some other things and I'm like, I don't know about grass, and I'm good with that. I have no problem with that. But, we have to make a vocation out of greenkeeping. And that vocation can't always be being a golf course superintendent. And I've talked about this before. So I'd like to wrap this up. I'm looking at my chat. Anybody got anything to say over there? As per usual, my chat, when I get on Twitch, my chat just rolls. It's like a scrolling thing when I get on my live feeds on YouTube directed at turf heads. They don't come out and say anything. Afraid they might get quoted, looked at. Not really. I don't know. It's fine. But don't forget to like and subscribe. Please hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, hit notifications. You'll know when things are going to happen. We will be converting these, especially these monologue-y type things. Like, look, there's nothing that's happened on the screen today except for me. You don't need to look at me to get the information. We'll put this in podcast form and it'll be good. As I've said before, I am looking for small sponsors who are into sponsoring an episode here and there. And the kinds of companies that I'm looking for are the people that are like me, who are smaller and trying to grind it out. And that's not to say that if somebody bigger came to me, I might have a talk with them, but that's not where I'm at right now. Thank you. Justin from Agronomist says, love your hard work. Keep this up. Yes, I'm going to keep it up. And it's not for everybody. And I get that. And I've heard the criticisms and I don't care. I'm 55 years old. I've been in the business for 40 years. I've been consulting for just under 30. I'm doing okay. I'm getting older. My knees hurt. Things like that. But I certainly don't need, I'm not looking for everybody's approval because I want to say it straight. At least I want to say it straight as it comes to me. So there it is. No chip on my shoulder. I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. Justin, thank you for your words. I appreciate you. I love you, man. I love you, man. And for all of you, I love you too. And I hope you all have a fantastic week, a great day. Do something amazing for somebody in your world. And yeah, that's how it works. I'm Dave Wilber. This has been the Turfgrass Zealot Project, June 19th, 2021 edition. And it's been a great, great pleasure having you here. Thank you. I love each and every one of you. And I will see you soon. Take care.